I think everyone would agree that Doom Eternal is a much cooler game than Doom on paper. Eternal looks a lot nicer, feels a lot better to play, and overall is a better gameplay experience than the original.
If I asked why, you'd probably point to the time the two games were released. Doom Eternal was released in 2020, while Doom definitely wasn't. id Software probably would have made a much better Doom if it was released today, because software and hardware have been greatly improved. In other words, the developers of Doom were being creatively limited because their technology sucked. But what does this have to do with aim assist?
The answer is
Games have had a common trend of incorporating more movement into their controls because going fast is just cool. But in 1993, not only was their frame rate lacking, but so was everything else. Speed in video games is just how many frames it takes to move from point A to point B, so if you don't show enough frames of a movement, it doesn't look like a movement, it looks like instant transmission, which can be incredibly disorienting for players. Once developers had a high enough frame rate, they were able to show faster movements and also let their players go faster. Cool. But technology isn't the only limiting factor. The average human reaction time is around 250 milliseconds, or a fourth of a second. That's pretty fast, but not that fast. If the game is too quick, you'll probably struggle, not because you have a skill issue, but because you haven't installed the latest cybernetics, and thus can't have an 8 millisecond reaction time. Once again, developers were being creatively limited, but by anatomy instead of technology. While the solution doesn't involve cool cyborg arms and loss of perfectly good limbs, what we can do instead is give our players digital cybernetics, improving their aiming capabilities, and letting them start the game on a higher level. But who'd be crazy enough to do furries? It was the furries. Mercifully's aim assist system lets you hit the opponent if you were close enough. It varies from gun to gun, but they all serve the same message. If you're not moving fast enough, you're getting shot. And if you get shot enough, you're gonna die. Understandably, players tend to have a lot of concerns with aim assist. Not only does it invalidate the time players take to get good through practice, but it also trivializes playing the game in the first place. Nobody wants Valorant to turn into an idle game.
less cost. We get less cost. Less cost.
But I think Merc Fleet is different. The biggest issue with aim assist is that if someone removes aiming as a skill from the game, aim assist exceeds counterplay in most FPS games, which can't be said for Merc Fleet. It not only imbued itself into the game's core mechanics, but it's kept in check because players move fast enough for it to not be a problem. It's very clear that aim assist is implemented to counteract higher levels of movement, not to just give controller players a crutch. I get it if you think the game looks somewhat daunting, but if you have any level of FPS experience, I think you'll be okay. It's a really good time, and I recommend it to anyone who has the time to try it out. By the way, that should be like everyone. You guys are watching a video made by someone with like 3 subscribers. Alright, come on.